Hello and welcome to Stories from the View, a podcast from the Pleasant View Senior Center in East Longmeadow, Massachusetts. On this podcast, we invite East Longmeadow residents to tell us their stories about their lives and events. And today's guests are Karen Fisk and Proulx. And here is your host, Mary Genoan Kaplan.
Thank you, Eric, and good morning. And thank you and Karen and Mo so much for coming and joining us today to tell us your story. To our listeners, I'll say, hold on to your hats. Most of our guests have many layers, and these two people have lots of stories to tell us. And I just can't wait. Thank you for coming. So, shall we start at the beginning?
All right. It's great to be here. And I'm going to let Mo start out by just talking a little bit about his early years, when you were born and your family.
You want me to talk about that?
Yep.
We want to hear.
Oh, I was born in East Springfield on Prentice Street to Joseph and Juliet Proulx.
Wonderful. And did you grow up in East Springfield?
Yes, I went to, but I went to St. George's Church School in Chicopee Falls. That's a neighboring town.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd ride my bike down East Street and then I'll land at St. George's School.
Was East Springfield a good place to grow up in?
Yeah.
You had lots of other kids on your street and...
Tell about your brothers and what did you used to do to get some money when you were little?
Well, we were 6 boys.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And in a sense, we used to work at Bud Trumbull's golf range, which, see, we were on Prentice Street and East Street was one street over, and right across from our place was a golf range, Bud Trumbull's golf range. And we used to go there and pick up balls and get the golf range working.
Oh, so you'd pick up the balls and then would be compensated for collecting them.
Yeah.
What a great job for kids.
Right.
So were you the oldest of your brothers or the middle?
No, I was more among the young.
Ah. So you had many older brothers.
Oh, yeah. I had brother Gene Paul, Armand,
Then you.
and me.
And then
Roger, Norman,
Jerry.
Jerry.
Great. And what were your interests as a young boy? Did you play sports?
Well, we played baseball in a local team right almost next door to where we lived.
Mm-hmm.
And we would go to the not Blum Park, East Springfield, Kings Field.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we would play opposite teams and meet.
Wonderful.
Just quickly, your other activity was helping your dad. Explain that with the carpentry.
Oh, my father was a carpenter, and that's what he did, obviously, every day. And we used to help him in any way he wanted it as a carpenter. And that's where I learned carpentry myself.
And what did he build?
He built houses.
Wow.
He built our house on Prentice Street. But he was in construction.
That's a great skill to have.
Oh, yeah. And he was a good carpenter.
How wonderful. And what happened after you finished school? Where did you go after high school?
Well, I went, for high school, I called it seminary.
Ah,
I went to Enfield, New Hampshire
okay.
for high school seminary days and learning.
And that was with what community?
The La Salette missionaries, that was a community that was based on the apparition of Our Lady of La Salette at La Salette in France.
So you knew at an early age this was what you wanted to pursue.
Yeah,
Wow.
well, I was interested
Mhm.
in the personnel that made up that community.
And where was it located?
It was located in Enfield, New Hampshire, for one thing. There was something in Hartford
Attleboro.
and Attleboro. The big one was Attleboro, which then also became a shrine.
Very popular.
Yeah,
Lots of
With the
folks from our
lights.
area go
Christmas time, they're
Mhm.
known for their lights.
for the lights
Yeah.
at the La Salette Shrine in Attleboro,
Right.
Massachusetts, right?
yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. That's great. So, Karen,
Mhm.
tell us about your beginnings.
My beginning was very different than Mo's. I grew up in Allen Park, Michigan. Allen Park is a suburb of Detroit. Dearborn, obviously, everyone knows about Henry Ford and the Ford Motor Company, General Motors. So I grew up in an auto town. But my father, who was a veteran of World War II, he got a job in construction, but it was, they called it asbestos workers. So unfortunately, yes, he did pass away at a very early age. And that was before people knew about, I can't say the proper term, but about the problem that asbestos creates. But anyway, so he did that. My mother was a stay-at-home mom. And I have two sisters and a brother. And I was the eldest. And I still am the typical eldest of, needing to make sure everything's on schedule and being responsible to make sure everything gets done. So, it's very different than children growing up now. The neighborhood kids would get together. We had two lots, so our house would be the destination to play baseball, play softball, kick the can, any of those games. And my mom, who was very athletic, the poor thing was stuck with me, who to this day, I cannot do any sport or do it well. I've tried them all. Not good. But anyway, so I am a product of Catholic education as well, Catholic grade school and high school in the Detroit area. Early on, I knew that I wanted to be a religious sister. And so I was going to enter the community right after high school. But unfortunately, my mom passed away my senior year of high school.
Oh.
So I stayed home for a couple years. And at that time, I went to Mary Grove College. And then I entered the Adrian Dominicans and finished up my bachelor's degree the Adrian is a town about 90 miles away from Detroit. So I ended up finishing my bachelor's degree at Mary Grove College, which was an all-women's college in Detroit, and then my master's degree at Wayne State University. And that led me to a profession in education. So I was a high school teacher and a high school counselor.
And what did you teach?
History. And don't hold me to history now. I cannot. Although I've been watching a lot of programs on TV, like Foyle's War and others around that period of time, and it does come back. But after, and the teaching was done obviously through the schools that my congregation provided sisters for. But our congregation also had a couple of hospitals. And one of the hospitals was in Henderson, Nevada. It was St. Rose de Lima was a very small hospital then. It is not small now. It's huge. But I have not been back there in years. So, but anyway, I ended up leaving education and got into human resources.
That's how
it
shift
happened. And so I spent a lot of years in human resources, more than 30, I'm sure.
And you've seen some changes.
I have definitely seen, when I started, it was called personnel. I also just kind of, and I was really privileged to do this. I did some consulting with an organization called NACPA, National Association of Church Personnel Administrators. Sisters and priests, they were just used to doing it all. But as the numbers dwindled or as personnel became more complicated, they needed to set up personnel departments, HR departments, personnel file policies. So I consulted with various religious communities to help them set up their HR department or personnel policies. And so kind of a funny story about being in HR. Mo has always been really good about helping around the house, and, we really do it as a team effort. And so on some particular day, we were cleaning the house, and we were expecting company. And I inadvertently re-cleaned something that he cleaned. And he was not happy about that. And he said to me, Karen, I don't want to live in a Better Homes and Garden house. And I said, trust me, you're not. I mean, we have a really small house. And he said, and I don't want to live in a convent either, because convents were always very neat and very clean. But more seriously about both of our roles in religious communities, we just want to make sure, we state that we were extremely happy and still continue to love and are grateful to the communities. The La Salettes that Mo was a member of were really dedicated to reconciliation. And Mo also spent many, many years being a peace and justice advocate. And even in our own way now, he does that.
Karen, can you tell us a little bit about reconciliation for those that might not be familiar with the term?
Sure. So reconciliation, if there are differences among people, find ways to bridge those differences. So
Reconcile.
Reconcile, mediation, sort of,
Right.
reconcile. Good word, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So and that was continues to be very important to Mo.
I can see that with his kind demeanor.
Right.
Yeah.
People would want to get together a little bit.
But very much an advocate for peace and justice. Did a lot of holding signs and around war issues.
You activist, you.
Yes, he was an
You
activist.
are an activist.
So in the community I was a member of, the Adrian Dominicans, our motto was truth. And so truth comes in lots of different ways, but primarily education, and then things branched out. The Adrians are also very much concerned and advocates of peace and justice. So there was a good melding. Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit about our background, and maybe we just now should tell you how we got, why are we in East Long Meadow, Massachusetts, and why are we together? So, do you want?
Well, I think the first thing is how did we first meet?
All right, why don't you tell them?
When I was a La Salette priest missionary, and I did a lot of retreat work, and I was asked or invited by the Adrian Dominicans to go there and to do some retreat work with the community and with the sisters.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So
and where was there?
That's where I met Karen. She was then an Adrian Dominican.
And part of the retreat process, or
I was actually the administrator of the campus.
so you that was
so
an important link.
Right. So, so Mo came to Adrian, and after probably about 5 or 6 years, we obviously developed a friendship and a relationship and a connection, which led to a really painful process of having to decide, what do we do next? Because as I mentioned, we both loved our communities, wanted to honor the commitment that we made. And I frequently say, after spending a lot of money on spiritual direction and a lot of money in therapy, we decided that we would leave our communities and get married.
There was a different path,
A different path.
How respectful and thoughtful, though. That's incredible, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So you were there, then you were
Here.
And what drew you? Who do we have to thank for you folks coming to our area?
Why do we come here? Do you remember?
No, you remember better than I do.
So when we decided to get married, Mo had said, where do you want to live? And he had brothers and family here. And Mo mentioned Attleboro, and he had very, very good friends who were not part of the community, but for lack of a better word, lay people.
Mm-hmm.
So
Connected.
he had a
Connection.
social connection different than myself. All of my friends were connected to the community, and I still maintain some of those friendships. But it just felt like, if we were going to go on this new path, we needed a different circle.
Mm-hmm.
And so we packed up what we had in a U-Haul truck, and we came here, and we spent a couple of months living with Mo's brother and sister-in-law up on Dwight Road. And then we reached a point where we were going to look for a house, and we had looked all different places, and we actually found a little house on Hartwick Street that we have been in now for 31 years, and love that house. So when we came here, HR was a transferable skill.
Absolutely.
Spiritual direction was not so much. But Mo did continue to see some people. And then fortunately, some friends, and I want to say the Sisters of St. Joseph and the Sisters of Providence have been great friends to us. The sisters, I worked for the Sisters of St. Joseph when I first came. And Mo, the Sisters of Providence kind of would lead, when there was a position open in pastoral care, would let Mo know. So Mo spent several years in pastoral care, chaplaincy.
Mm-hmm.
And he was chaplain at what used to be Springfield Municipal Hospital.
Oh, sure. State Street.
Then from there, he was chaplain at a nursing home in Lenox. But actually, that was so far. But he had a ride. administrator said, if you take the job, you can ride with me. So
They wanted him.
they wanted
They
him.
wanted him, and they got him.
They
Good,
got him.
great.
And then after that, he spent a good 10, 11 years as pastoral care chaplain at Western Mass Hospital. And then when he retired, he too volunteered at Western Mass Hospital. So we've both been very lucky in our ministries. So when I first came, like I mentioned, I worked with the Sisters of St. Joseph. And then I was offered a position at West Mass Elder Care and ended up working there for 23, 24 years.
And you probably saw some huge changes there.
Absolutely. You know, not only just in terms of human resource policies, but the growth of staff. West Mass Elder Care, like Greater Springfield, you know, the mission is to provide services so elders and disabled can stay in their own community. So as the population grew and the need grew, yes, I mean, we were constantly increasing staff. Then we have to increase space. So yes, lots of changes.
Then you have to hire more people,
That's right. That's
and
right.
you have to find them,
That's right. But sometimes a challenge.
and new skills too, because the programs for
Right.
seniors to live independently have evolved.
Definitely.
It's a different world now.
It's definitely a different world. So that's kind of the big pieces of who and what we've been. So as I mentioned, you know, we've been here 31, 32 years. We continue to keep connections with people. We don't go out and venture too far these days, but we still, Zoom has been a wonderful invention in terms of keeping contact with people. We are still committed to, in a spiritual growth, spiritual life. So when I mentioned Zoom, we are fortunate that we are able to every other week have people come to our home for Sunday morning prayer together. And we even have some people that join us for that by way of Zoom. So that was an outgrowth of COVID.
You have kept up with the technology
Yes.
to maintain connections and your interests.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You trendsetters, you.
Right. Right. Well, Mo leaves all the computer work to me, right, Mo?
Hmm?
You leave all the computer work to
Oh,
me.
yes.
But
Go with your strengths. That's
right,
good.
Right.
Absolutely. So tell me more about your retirement. You're kind of hanging close to home.
Hanging
Which
close to
is-
home.
True for a lot of us these days.
Right. So Mo, talk about how you used to love gardening and yard work.
Yeah, well, I always did that kind of work when I was at home in East Springfield,
Mhm.
mowing the lawn and taking care of the garden and all that stuff under my father's directions. So I just continue doing that on Hartwick Street.
Right.
Growing a few vegetables or flowers. What's your specialty?
Well, gee, I don't know what my specialty is.
Well, I want to say just about a year ago, Mo had a serious fall. And it led to just a lot of complications. So much to his chagrin, I said that his lawn days are over.
Your lawn days are over.
Lawn days are
you
over.
have to be safe.
Wait, what?
Your lawn days, you don't.
Oh.
So we
No more mowing.
No, we have a company that comes to do it. But Mo still breeds. When I hope, well, when I come to do Shine, Mo's job is to just stay in the chair and not get up and venture. But he always says, as I leave the house, may the Holy Spirit guide you in the work that you do and the clients that you meet. So we're a team in terms of my volunteering to do Shine. And I say, we do that together. So I do that. The other big thing that adds spunk to our life is we have a great niece who is 8 years old. When she was born, I happened to say to her mother and dad, if you ever need a babysitter, if you want to go out to dinner, whatever. Well, we have been watching her since she was an infant. So she's 8 years old.
And she's close.
Oh, yes. 5 minutes, 5 minutes down the road. Very big into athletics, basketball and soccer and gymnastics.
She did not inherit that from you.
Oh,
but
no way.
She inherited it from someone.
Oh, and she loves to tease me when I try to play with her. But so, these days, like, we're not every day, but we pick her up at the bus, and she's a delight. She's just, so that takes us out of our comfort zone a little bit. So to keep us alive and active, and she'll, poke Mo and aggravate him a little bit. And, but we just totally enjoy it. So I think that helps to keep us young.
Yeah.
And she's enjoying it too.
Yes.
And her family appreciates it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's nice to have trusted extra hands.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and we feel happy about the fact that she likes coming. I mean, there's never an issue. I don't want to go there. Sometimes I think we must be boring, but I don't think we are.
I guess not.
I guess not.
You're livelier than you thought.
Right.
And 8 is a great age.
Right. So
Yeah.
I think, where we are now, I think, Mo's message would be, we were talking about this the other day, just how if we would all think of people as being one, instead of dividing people, the divisions that have permeated so much. Mo is very much committed to praying for that oneness. And my mantra sort of has been, in addition to Mo, I have other responsibilities, and I just often try to look at all of that, not as obligations, but opportunities. And every morning just sort of ask that we can be kind and we can be grateful for all that is. So we have a very happy, wonderful life.
I can hear that and see it in both of you. Thank you so much for coming and
Our
telling us
pleasure.
your story. And I'm so glad you found East Long Meadow
Right.
and moved into our town, because that's part of our Stories from the View, is to hear the great stories of the people who live here.
We're very happy. And thank you for having us, right?
Yeah.
Chapter 2,
Yep.
with a terribly important topic.
Right.
We're coming to the open enrollment period. I'm going to say this right, for Medicare.
That's right. October 15th through December 7th.
And for anyone who is 65 and over or approaching 65, or maybe you have a parent or a loved one, it is important to hear and know, because this is not an easy thing, but it truly is necessary and important and will make a difference. So thank you. We look forward to your return visit.
You're welcome.
That wraps up another episode of Stories from the View. We'd like to thank our guests Karen Fisk and Mo Proulx for being here today. The Stories from the View podcast is available on the LCAT 01028 channel on YouTube and on Spotify. If you have a story you'd like to share on the program, contact Pleasant View Senior Center Director Erin Kobler by stopping by the Pleasant View Senior Center, or by calling Erin at 413-525-5436, extension 1401, or you can send an email to Erin at aaron.kobler@eastlongmeadowma.gov. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Stories from the View.